What have we learnt today? We've learnt that the government does fully intend, I use that word carefully, to have a fourth attempt at bringing the withdrawal divorce agreement, the Brexit deal that Theresa May negotiated, back in front of MPs to vote on it. The Brexit Secretary, Steve Barclay, told a parliamentary committee that this would definitely be the last chance for this deal. And we know that the government has in mind, Whitehall sources are saying, to publish the bill itself next week. That contains, as far as quite a lot of Brexiteers are concerned, an awful lot of horrors, with a view perhaps to a vote in Parliament around about the 5th of June. Does any of this actually mean it's something that you should engrave in tablets of stone? It's definitely going to happen. I think an awful lot of the government's plans on Brexit, as we've learnt over the months, are built on sand. The other development on that front was rumours going around today after a Labour briefing that maybe Labour might help the government out with the Brexit deal by abstaining in that key vote in the first week in June. I understand from senior Labour sources that they believe that the government is a long way from getting close to the sort of agreement that they could even consider abstaining on, and that is a bit far-fetched. Other developments in the political jungle today, well, the pro-Remain party, Change UK, had a defection. The lead candidate in Scotland decided to fold up his tent, back the Liberal Democrats, and I understand from senior sources in that party there is a bubbling row going on at the top of that party about whether other candidates in English regions should maybe do the same thing. The other thing that is very much across the board and you find everybody talking about is those opinion polls that are emerging on the European Parliament elections, suggesting that the combined strength of Labour and the Conservatives is about as low as most people can remember it being. Is that the reality? Well, wandering around the southwest region for these European Parliament elections and talking to people, you come away with the impression it's not impossible.
The people voted to leave, and that's it. End of story. Done and dusted.
There's so many different ways.
Campaigning in Exeter, Change UK, one of two new political parties that only formed this year, but who could shape the result of the elections next week.
Can we count on your vote? Thank you. Yeah.
Former Tory Minister Anne Widdecombe is standing for Nigel Farage's Brexit party. Polls suggest this newcomer might come first in the elections. Change UK, by comparison, is struggling, and fellow Remain parties think it's splitting the pro-EU vote.
Isn't it good that you've got a whole raft of Leave parties to choose from, Labour, Conservative, UKIP, Brexit and all the other ones, and you also have a choice of Remain parties? I think it's, why are people so angry about that? With nothing wrong with having a Sainsbury's and an Aldi and a Tesco.
I don't think there is much difference between us and Change UK, and I think it's a real shame that they formed their party and came on the scene just before these elections, because what they are going to do is split the vote.
I would advise people not to vote for a party that doesn't have a manifesto, for example, and that doesn't have a democratic structure. I think that helps to narrow it down a little bit.
I think you're talking about the brand new one that's on the block, aren't you?
The one that
Change
hasn't quite got
UK.
its logo organised and doesn't have a manifesto. I think that might be a little bit of a risk voting for them, shall we say.
Poole in Dorset was the setting for a candidate's hustings after tea at the vicarage. The Greens didn't want UKIP there. UKIP said the Greens were fascistic.
You might like the style, but at the moment your colour is...
I'm still yet to hear a Change UK candidate say what they disagree with about the Lib Dems.
On the way into the debate, candidates for Change UK and the Lib Dems arguing whether the newcomer should really be there.
But it feels more authentic and real to me to be doing something new with someone new.
People just like something new and shiny.
What do I think about the European elections? They are effectively a referendum on Brexit.
Not exactly how Jeremy Corbyn would put it, but Labour's Andrew Adonis wishes Labour was fighting on a much more stridently pro-Remain ticket.
So,
Andrew, got to stop you there.
Stay in the European Union and have a second referendum.
You were telling voters last night at the hustings, vote for Labour to stay in and for a second referendum. That's not exactly the policy, is it?
No, it is our policy.
No, it isn't.
On any Tory deal.
It is not.
No, let's be clear. On any Tory deal.
You're giving a
Labour
shorthand
stands.
version of your policy because you're worried people are deserting you for parties that are more clearly identifiably pro-Remain.
No, I've been completely honest about our policy. Any Tory deal
We stand for a referendum.
I heard you saying something much more.
Yeah, but there aren't.
What do you want policy to be? Not the policy that Jeremy Corbyn spent 5 hours at the National Executive Committee making sure it was, which is a policy that still faces both ways.
No, the policy is very clear. Any Tory deal, and the only deal on the table at the moment is a Tory deal, we favour a referendum.
Campaigning today in Bristol, Andrew Adonis heard from a Labour supporter taking their vote elsewhere for these elections.
I'm wildly pro-European.
Yes, I know. I'm terribly sorry, but we're going to vote Green because...
Why Green?
Because they have steadfastly been pro-Europe right from the beginning, and we just have to send a message to Labour that they've been sitting on the fence far too long.
They cost you £1,000 to buy this lot.
For Conservative activists, these elections come straight after defeats in the local elections. Tim Warren was leader of North East Somerset Council until 2 weeks ago. Like many in the party, he's not lifting a finger to help with the European Parliament elections.
We're not doing anything as a Tory party for the European elections.
You've been an activist all your life. You were leader of the council until recently. You're not picking up the phone, putting out a leaflet?
No.
Anyone else?
No, if I'm honest with you, I haven't seen a single leaflet.
Some of your activists have gone on strike over this election, haven't they? I know it's not a phrase many Tories like usually, but that's what they're doing. They're sitting this one out, and an awful lot of them are going to vote for the Brexit Party. Actual activists, members who were busy in the party.
That may be the case, but certainly everybody I've spoken to who I've asked to help has said we'll do what we can.
That might be nothing if they don't want to.
Well, I don't know. I can't put words in their mouth as to what they can is, but I expected a lot more negativity than I've had.
The EU has no right to intervene in our affairs.
Leading the charge in the southwest against her old party, Anne Widdecombe. Like those Tory activists, she hopes a Tory disaster will see the party change course and not be the beginning of its end.
But probably going to be annihilated in the European elections. I do not think that has to translate to annihilation in a general election, but sadly, given the way things are going at the moment, it's quite likely to.
Nigel Farage would like it to, your leader.
Well, what Nigel Farage
wants to smash the party.
What Nigel Farage wants is to...
You want to correct its path.
Yeah, what Nigel Farage wants, you keep telling me what we all want. Only Almighty God knows what we want, by the way, and that's not you, Gary. What Nigel Farage wants is Brexit. That's what we all want. We want Brexit. Now, in the course of getting Brexit, if he has to smash the two main parties, then he will. Then he will. I still hope that British democracy can be rescued.
You think Nigel Farage has set up a one-man band?
A one-man band. It's what I call a dictator's dream.
And you're sticking with UKIP?
I'm sticking with UKIP.
I don't want to risk voting Labour and being construed that it's a vote for Brexit.
Because you think Jeremy Corbyn's thrown in the towel on Brexit?
I love Jeremy Corbyn, but he's totally wrong on Brexit. I'm very torn.
You're a Labour Party member and you might not vote Labour.
Yeah, I probably
Did you ever think you'd say that?
No. And I probably will, because I can't not. But if I don't vote Labour, I'll be voting Green.
Vince Cable was campaigning in Bristol today. The Lib Dem leader hoping to peck pro-Remain supporters off what we've long grown used to calling the two main parties.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Conservative Party breaks up after these elections. It's a very strange job. There is, real hatred, distrust amongst Conservatives, and this may be the beginning of something much, much bigger.
Theresa May's last chance of getting her deal through Parliament rests on post-European election panic, driving MPs to back her Brexit deal. The panic, at least, seems guaranteed. Gary Gibbon, Channel 4 News, Bristol.
And here's the full list of parties and independent candidates in the European parliamentary elections for the South West region.